So over the course of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all those sales, I'm sure there were a few guitars that may have caught your eye. But a couple that caught my eye and made me think were some very, very expensive guitars becoming very expensive guitars. Luxury, high-end guitars with significant enough discounts that really made me think. I saw a BC Rich USA-made gunslinger, which normally retails for $4,200, being blown out brand new clearance sale at Guitar Center for $1,900. That's a 55% discount on a new guitar. Then I saw across multiple different retailers the Gibson Kirk Hammett Flying V's, the custom shop variants, being discounted by $6,000. Now, these are expensive guitars, and some might say overpriced to begin with, and to be honest, if you can discount a guitar by $6,000 and then still sell it, I'd probably be inclined to agree with you. But these discounts got me thinking about the guitars that are super high priced but still have a line of customers willing to pay premium bucks for them. They don't need to be discounted from new. People are waiting years for them. And why does this happen? Why are people queuing up for years and paying in excess of $10,000 on a guitar when guitars very, very similar are priced significantly less? Well, it all comes down to luxury and luxury marketing. Now, I've talked about how guitars have become more and more of a luxury item over the last few years and how they're marketed. And some people immediately say, oh, well, all guitars are luxury. And that's correct, you don't need them to survive. But in most cases, you don't need a car to survive either. And I think we can all agree that there's a big difference between a Fiat and a Lamborghini. Both Italian cars, but one's a little bit more luxury. And it's the same concept with guitars. You can play the same song on a Squier Strat as you can play on a custom shop Strat, but they're very much different in price and luxury product. So today I want to talk about luxury marketing in guitars and how there is this demand for certain ones while there isn't for others. And luxury products, specifically the marketing of it, is something that I find really interesting because there's a lot of psychology at play. And with that, it requires some decisions that you might not naturally assume are rational decisions. Starting with this. Oh, now that's the type of crunch you wish your breakfast cereal made. But if you haven't seen that video before, firstly, my apologies. But that is a video from 2019 of Gibson destroying several hundred, it seems, Firebird X guitars. And there was quite a bit of backlash towards Gibson for that video leaking, but it wasn't the only video. Here's another example of a video leaked in 2019 of Gibson employees destroying guitars in their Memphis factory. Now, it's worth noting here that since those videos, Gibson have come under new ownership and new leadership twice actually, so it's very likely that company policy has changed since. But Gibson aren't the only guitar company destroying guitars. PRS are very well known for destroying any B-stocks or second guitars. No seconds leave the PRS factory, at least not in one piece.
Make sure it meets spec. If it does not meet spec and we cannot repair it, we'll cut the guitar up.
And it's not just guitar companies that destroy usable product. In fact, they're a very small facet of what tends to be the luxury good industry. It's a huge part of that. It's very popular in fashion. For example, in 2018, Burberry destroyed $36.5 million worth of products. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, why are they destroying guitars? Well, the quick and easy answer is that it's a tax write-off. You can write off the value of the product if you destroy it. But there are alternatives to destroying guitars, or destroying products in general. You could donate it. There's positives to that. You get good press as a company for being charitable, and you also get good tax credits as well. Another alternative, though, is selling the product at a discount. If the product would be originally, let's say it's worth $2,000, and you sell it at $1,000. You get that $1,000 cash, and then you can also write off that other $1,000 as a loss, and you still get some tax deduction there as well. So that's a benefit, and you actually get some cash, as well as you get a customer that essentially becomes a billboard for your product. When they're playing it, they're showing the name of the product. It's an advertisement in some cases. So obviously there's other options here. So why would a brand decide to destroy their product rather than donate it or discount it? Well, one simple reason: luxury. Luxury is not always just how good the product is, but it's also about the mindset of the purchaser. They want you to feel special. I know that sounds a little bit silly, but it is. I think it would be kind of cool if you saw a bunch of kids playing 10 top PRSs that had little blemishes in them. I think that would be kind of cool. Do you know who wouldn't think that would be kind of cool? Anyone who bought a PRS for full price. That's just how it is. You can call it jealousy, you can call it whatever you want, but it's human nature. People like to feel special, and they like a price to pay to feel special. Now look, we're talking about luxury goods here, so I want you just for a second to imagine that Paul Reed Smith is not a guitar brand, but it's a luxury designer handbag brand. Right, so Paul Reed Smith donates a bunch of these bags to a charity. You see them in Goodwill. Do you think that they're going to demand the same amount of money at retail? They're not. It's the same idea with discounting them. If all these guitars were coming in at discounts, then what's the incentive to pay full price? There's not much, is there? Now, another really, really important part of luxury marketing is scarcity. And it's almost entirely artificial. Now, I want you to think for a second just how many products you've seen that are limited edition. One of 250, available in this colour only for a limited amount of time. Any of that stuff. You see it pretty often, right? Which is somewhat ironic because we're talking about things that are supposedly rare, and yet everything is rare. The reason that it's in marketing is because it works. People want scarcity, people want to feel special, people want things that others don't have. Like, it's in everything. A Pokemon card is a piece of cardboard, but if it's shiny and it's got a certain, little cartoon drawing on it, then that's worth hundreds of dollars because it's rare. It's just another piece of cardboard, though. But that's not what it's about. It's about rarity. And that can be applied in any industry. A great example in the guitar industry is with Analog Man pedals, specifically the King of Tone pedal. The Analog Man King of Tone pedal became incredibly sought after through hype. People wanted it. And there's nothing more infuriating for people who want things than not being able to get them. Analog Man created a waitlist because there was such a demand, and this waitlist has only grown and grown. It's actually several years long now at this point. I think it's 4 or 5 years if you get onto it now. It's actually estimated to be over 10 years of waiting time if you get onto it now. Now, naturally, you might think, well, it's supply and demand. We've all heard that before. It would make the most sense to employ more people so that you can make more pedals and ship them out faster, meet that demand, and you make more money, right? Well, that would be the logical thinking, but not necessarily the way to do things. How Analog Man did it was very clever. They, instead of increasing employees, they kept it at their baseline standard, so there would always be a continuous flow of demand. Sometimes, if you meet demand with supply, the demand goes away. If you recall, just recently there was a big thing about Prime Energy, maybe last year, a few months ago, I don't know. A whole bunch of kids wanted this drink, and parents were paying like 60 quid a bottle because it was so rare. Now, they're blowing them out for €1 a bottle because the supply reached the demand. Now the demand's gone. So Analog Man, very, very clever. They didn't increase the supply, and the demand is still very much there. There's 5 years of customers at least that they've got ready to buy. So that's a great example of scarcity. So remember those guitars that I was talking about in the beginning? They were very high priced, but they were being lowered, they were being discounted in price to try and find buyers because people weren't buying them. Well, that got me thinking about the companies, the brands, the types of guitars that are being sold for very, very, very high prices, and they've still got people who are waiting years and years to buy them. You know, there's a couple of great examples. One is ESP Custom Shop. Those guitars can be in excess of 10 grand, 15 grand for what can be essentially a pretty basically spec'd instrument. And it's the same with Jackson Custom Shop. Jackson USA Custom Shop, incredibly priced, and a sizable weight as well. So to illustrate that, I think maybe people are paying for luxury guitars, maybe more so for brand name, for status, for scarcity. I thought I'd do a comparison with some Jackson Custom Shop and another custom shop that's somewhat similar, at least like similar specs on the instrument, similar location, similar size. It's not like a one-man operation or anything, that sort of stuff. So the closest I could get was Kiesel guitars. I think the factories are about 60 miles apart. They're both located in California. They're like Jackson are a large enough company so they can afford larger wood orders. Kiesel are also a large enough company they can afford a sizable wood order as well. So these are all going to factor in on the price. I feel these are the closest I can get. Now a little disclaimer, this comparison will make Kiesel look pretty favorable. But this is by no means an advertisement for Kiesel. In fact, Kiesel are the only guitar brand to block me on Instagram, which is somewhat funny because I've never interacted with them on Instagram before. But anyway, the facts are the facts, and if it makes Kiesel look good, it makes Kiesel look good. There are videos on this channel that you can see Kiesel not looking so good. This is a guitar that I spec'd up. I wanted just to spec out something that was kind of standard with a couple of little different things. So it's a neck-through Super Strat with a Floyd Rose, a 3-piece maple neck, a pointed headstock reverse, flame maple fretboard with some block inlays, and this 1001 Dalmatian type of black crackle on white. I just thought that would be something maybe that people would order in a custom shop. It's not crazy, but it's got some custom specs. And Kiesel will charge $2,854 for this guitar. I have the spec list here and the price list. Now, this is the Jackson Custom Shop order form. Jackson don't have it on their website, but their dealers, the custom shop dealers do. This is the Axe Palace one. And basically, I'd be ordering a guitar that would look like that from Jackson. In the soloist shape, a full-on Super Strat, white and black crackle, everything as close as I can get spec to that Kiesel. Okay, so here are the specs. The model, just it being a Jackson soloist from the custom shop, a neck-through Super Strat, it's going to set you back a minimum of $4,920, and that is without pickups. So the second you add pickups, the minimum is $80 a piece. So you're paying $5,000 minimum for a Jackson custom shop before you spec anything. With Kiesel, you are paying $1,749. I do believe that you have to put a finish on it though. And yeah, here the clear gloss top is $50. So it's $1,800 minimum for this Kiesel neck through Super Strat. It is over $5,000 minimum for the Jackson custom shop, both made in the same place in the United States. So immediately quite a jarring difference. There's other things here. I mean, where Kiesel is actually more expensive is on the fretboard wood. Jackson charge $80 for flame maple fretboard, Kiesel charge $120. But that's the only instance where Kiesel are more expensive than Jackson. For example, fret wire, $240 extra for stainless steel fret wire from Jackson. On Kiesel, it's free of charge, it's included. Then you have to, for example, here, locking tuners are going to be $160. It's also included on the Kiesel. Finish options is probably the most crazy here. So Kiesel, for the crackle finish, granted that's a custom thing. So from Kiesel, a crackle finish will cost $400, and then you got to pay for the top coat. So that's $450 for the finish. From Jackson, a crackle finish charges $1,600. So they're $1,200 more for the same finish, which is kind of a crazy upcharge for a 3-piece all maple neck, right? It's a neck through. 3 pieces would be nice because you got a little bit more stability there. It's $75 upcharge from Kiesel. From Jackson, it is $400 upcharge. Realistically, right, people will talk about brand name as they say, oh, there's so much more quality or whatever. There are points where both companies have failed in quality. There are points that you can pull up on Kiesel of failing quality. You can also do the same thing for Jackson Custom Shop. Like one of the famous ones was where they made a 23 fret Jackson Kelly, I think it was, for a guy who ordered a 24 fret. Or that's a pretty big mess up. So mistakes happen no matter how much you're paying, and no matter which company it is. Both of these custom shop instruments that I've spec'd out will be made on the CNC. They'll be made by more than one person, right? Someone's going to do the finish, someone's going to do the sanding, someone's going to do the fretwork. Because we're not talking about Jackson Master Build here, we're talking about Jackson Custom Select. I haven't actually showed you the final prices. So for Kiesel, it is $2,854, right? $2,854. For Jackson, it is $8,640 for a neck through super strat with a crackle finish maple fretboard. Just this spec guitar, over $8,000. This Kiesel was made 60 miles down the road, also in California. So very, very big difference there. So then how long do you have to wait for each of those guitars? Well, Kiesel estimate it'll be about a 5-month wait. So a minimum of 5 months. Okay. How much for the Jackson? A minimum of 24 months. That is 2 years. Now I scoured a few different forums and found people talking about the Jackson Custom Shop wait time. And there's a few theories as to why it's so long, a minimum of 2 years. It's a long time to build a guitar. There were theories that Jackson were being underfunded and neglected by Fender, which is kind of silly because in every other aspect they are doing very, very well. Their import line is very much heavily funded and everything else, so it would be a bit strange to underfund the custom shop, especially at the prices that they can charge and pull in. Then other theories were that it was just hard to get the right workers, the right skilled workers in for the Jackson Custom Shop. But the thing is, this wait time isn't a new thing. I found a forum post from 2013 where someone mentioned they had 3 different Jackson Custom Shops and each one of them took 24 months to build. That is 2 years per build. So at the minimum, this wait time has been going on for 10 years or over 10 years, but very likely this customer didn't buy 3 custom shops in 1 year. So it's very likely been going on significantly longer than 11 years. Now, to be fair, in looking at this, the argument or the theory that Jackson are being neglected by Fender, they're not being giving enough funding to get enough luthiers to speed up the production time on these guitars, that still could be true. But these are, at least the Custom Shop Selects, are CNC made. It is a relatively quick enough process to get a body core, glue it up, body core it. That's not a 2-year time to build that. So at a certain point, you have to start thinking, if the wait time has been 2 years, 11 years ago, maybe it's intentional. Maybe, because that starts scarcity. Scarcity keeps secondhand values high, which is good for the brand overall. It also just increases desire. If you have a lot of money and you still can't get what you want, that increases people's desire for things. That's a psychological thing. There's a reason that Porsche and Lamborghini have lists of people that they sell their high-end cars to, rather than just if you've got a lot of money. You have to buy more, you have to show that you're a valued customer. There's other things at play, especially in the luxury market. So next time you see a guitar that's really, 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 really expensive and you can see that people are still queuing up to try and buy it, maybe there's other aspects at play. Maybe there's some luxury marketing at play. And I find that to be incredibly interesting. This video wasn't even scripted. I'm just waffling. I'm just talking about something I think is cool. But thank you for watching. If you thought it was interesting, maybe leave a like on the video, maybe subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!